And today, in Laura's Too Tired to Care About Her Appearance, we bring you this hot look. We have the Did You Destined Wannabe goggles, complete with weird, spiky wannabe anime hair. Hi guys, Laura K483 here again, and we're doing another review video of some more shows I've seen while up here in Edinburgh for the Fringe this year. The two shows we're reviewing in today's video are the Shakespeare in the Garden production of the Tempest by C Theatre, and Transmission, which was made by some colleagues of mine back in Canada. So first Canadian show we're seeing in the Fringe this year. I'll start with Shakespeare in the Garden and doing the Tempest, and I was fortunate enough I picked a day with great weather, so as the name suggests, it is a play outside in the garden of a really pretty old church, and since it's like beautiful weather sat in the garden, they provide you with blankets to sit on, which is really nice. I literally came with like my own Pim's lemonade, snacks, like some grapes, some popcorn, good to go, had my own little mini picnic. So already it was like I was guaranteed to pretty much have a good time, because who's not when you get to have like a drink in one hand, beautiful weather, perfect temperature, and some like awesome theater to sit back and watch. It was really nice. I had a lot of fun. The thing I liked the most about the show sounds really lame, but it was the costumes. But I, of course, being a stage manager, being someone who works backstage, I do look heavily at all the backstage and like the production elements of a show. And I also know the girl who was responsible for the costumes. I've been working with her. So I loved Ariel and the sprites, all their costume choices, and so that was really cool. And they're my favorite characters in the show as well. All the actors did a really great job, and they all were really like having fun with their parts, and that was a key element of those characters. A very like mischievous, playful sprites, and same with Ariel. So if you don't look like you're having fun playing those characters, it all would have just like looked terrible. So they were my favorites. Another thing that stood out in this production for me, because of course working in theater, I've seen many different versions of the Tempest, was the choice to, instead of Prospero and a father figure as the main character, so a male with a daughter, Miranda, it was Prospera, and they had a female, so playing that main character, and it was a mother-daughter relationship between Prospera and Miranda, and that was really interesting to see. I've never seen that done in a production before, and I really enjoyed watching that, like, dynamic, because it did change a bit, that dynamic slightly, because, like, the relationship between a father and daughter will never be the same as a mother and daughter. So it did bring a bit of a new tone to the show. A bit new. I'm losing all ability to speak. These reviews are gonna get less coherent. By the end of the month, it's gonna be like, good, made laugh, pretty lights, yay. Don't worry, we won't hit that level, hopefully. But yeah. So like I said, the plus side of it being in the garden was beautiful weather, beautiful setting, like literally nice garden, so they're outdoors on an island, so that worked out perfectly. Downside, it is right near a fairly busy street. Like the street itself that the church is on is not busy, but there's one just up the road. So there was, I don't know if it was just a bad night, maybe there had been some sort of emergency or fire nearby, but I swear there was like a siren and an emergency vehicle going by, like, every 5-10 minutes, it felt like, and the actors are having to do their best to like scream over these and still bring like some subtlety and bring the emotion in their performance, but while like projecting really loud into a garden so everyone can hear them. So it did like take you out of the show whenever that happened, and it's like you're watching a really nice moment, say between Prospero and Miranda, and then and just, so that kind of like sucked a little bit. But there's not much you can do about that. The nature of an outdoor show in the middle of a city during the busiest time of year for that city. The Fringe Festival's massive. So that didn't help it do any favors. I really liked the sound and music choices, and there was a lot of musicality in this production of The Tempest. There was all the songs and music bits that Ariel and the sprites sang, but they also made Caliban, kind of like to contrast the like melodic and very, very ethereal tones of the sprites and their melodies. There was like Caliban came out with like an electric guitar accompanying him and playing live, and that was pretty cool. So it was like edgier like chords and rock music compared to like very ethereal, just human harmonies, melodic and like acoustic guitar kind of thing. So I really enjoyed the musicality of the show. There was some performances, like there were definitely some actors that stood out above the others. Like there was a few, some were just like they were very clearly worried about being heard, and so they were very audible, like could clear diction, make out everything they were saying, but I felt like their performance was sacrificed to be heard. It felt like they're so busy like screaming all their lines, they didn't really have room to act, almost like there wasn't as much finesse and emotion and subtlety as some of the other standout performers. So like I said, Ariel and the Sprites I loved. They were my favorite performers. The Prospero was great. I personally, just the choices, wasn't a big fan of the way the Stefano and Trinculo scenes played out, and the Miranda Ferdinand scenes I thought could have been stronger. They just kind of like fell flat a bit for me. But yeah, overall, give the production like solid 6.5 out of 10. Like either way, I had a lovely evening. It was fun, and it's a really nice, relaxing, and a change from sitting in like a dark theater to go see. Like I said, it was just hard with all the noise because we are in a very populated city. That took away from the performance. And like I said, I wasn't a fan of every one of the like cast member choices, but I did really love some of them. So that is my thoughts on The Tempest. The other show I went to see, very, very different. Very, very unique as far as anything I've ever seen. Again, it's called Transmission. It was written and directed by someone I've worked with in the past. He was a professor where I did my undergrad, and we've worked together. I actually was stage managing 2 years ago some of the very, very early stages of this show, like the R&D almost for it. So it's really cool to see how far it's come. Transmission is about... it's set in the future. It's a sci-fi play, and it's set where humans, it's like 100 and some years in the future. It's 21 something the year. I can't remember. I'll go look it up in a sec. And it's about humans have received transmissions from another planet outside our solar system. We know we're not alone in space, and it's about humans building the spaceship and making the first manned mission to go to the planet, which they have named Lextatera, to go find the source of these transmissions and to make contact with the species. And the flyer describes it as Arrival meets Pokemon Go. Now you're probably like, what the hell? What? You've lost me. Where does Pokemon come into this? What makes this show so unique is the bit you go see, the play that you see with your ticket, is the briefing as if you guys are the crew of that ship that is going into outer space, and it's the mission briefing giving you details of the ship, the Sienna, the transmissions, blah, blah, blah. But where most of the play takes place isn't in the theater. There's been, like I said, years of work and research and built up into this, but also months of supplementary material. Since April, for example, they have had a podcast coming out that is world building for the show and talks about receiving the transmissions, the choosing of the crew for the Sienna, how like organizations got involved, how world governments responded to the transmissions and stuff. So I did I only got to listen to 1.5 episodes of the podcast before I saw the show, but that was really cool. So I went into it already kind of being in the world and having done this research, which is also very helpful because if you're not like me, you're not a very like physics or science-y person, like a lot of the very hard research I put into it and stuff would have gone over my head, but because I had a chance to listen to these podcasts and like get a sense of the world and get my mind around some of the scientific concepts first, it was really, really, it didn't take away from the story at all, and I was with like every step of the way. I knew what they were saying, and I was like, yep, okay, got it, makes sense. Also very well researched. Most people I know who know much more about physics and space and like space travel than me cannot poke holes in the logic of the show, which is a huge plus with sci-fi. Now where the Pokemon Go bit comes into play, on top of things like the podcasts and the websites for the crew, the Sienna, the transmissions, and to explain the show, they have an app for your phone. Hold on, I should have my phone to show you the app. That would be a good idea, Laura. Hold on. So the app is literally called Transmission, and the app, like Pokemon Go, so you'll see here, there is... Try and make it so let's make it do everything. There's an arrow that points the nearest direction of extra scenes for the show you can find around the city, and then the text you cannot read tells you the name of the scene and how many meters away it is. So if any of you have ever done, if you don't play Pokemon Go, if you've done the activity geocaching, similar concept through an app on your phone using a compass, gives you a location just by like a direction, either like north, northeast, or like a latitude, longitude direction, and then how many meters away from you it is. So that's what this app does. So I have yet to actually go explore the city with this app, which like in an ideal world I would have done that before posting this review, but I'm really excited to go do that. And not many shows leave you excited to discover more of the show after. Like you go see it and it's its isolated experience. You're like, oh well, that was fun, cool. But this one I'm now gonna, when I have downtime, not that I have much, but when I have some downtime in Edinburgh, I'm going to take this app and go explore the city and find extra scenes. So when you get to the places that the app is directing you to, it plays a video, and it plays like either an audio recording or a video supplementary material that plays out a scene related to the show, which is really cool. And the bit in the theater itself, again, is fairly short. It was just like a briefing as if you were the crew of this ship. But it was a fantastic performance by the 3 actors that were involved. I knew one of them, worked with her in the past. Her name is Layla, and she was the main character. She was like the commander of the Sienna, and her performance was absolutely fantastic. Like, even though it was a short bit, just her speech to the crew managed to touch on a lot of human emotions, a lot of like struggles that we deal with, whether we are or aren't going to space. And even though it's using the lens of like sci-fi and space travel and stuff, it's also examining a lot of issues we're going through right now, like refugee crisis and immigration laws and how it feels to leave your home behind and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this piece, and I'm really excited to keep enjoying it because it's not over when I left the theater, so that was really cool. Again, I'd say the only downside is literally with my schedule, I don't really have time to have listened to more of the podcasts or to have used the app before I went to see the show. So anyone's going to see it, highly recommend you do that. I would give this show 9 out of 10, hands down. Like I said, the only thing keeping it from a 10 is I wish I'd had more time. I could have been a bit more immersed in the world of the show, and I think if there was some way to make that clear, the audience know before they go into it, then that would be great. I'm trying to think of this. Oh, they also had very awesome use of like projections and stuff during the little briefing. That was really cool to see. But yeah, so those are the latest 2 shows I've seen. The next shows I'm going to see one of my favorite drag queens perform. I'm super excited, so I can tell you right now I'm probably going to really enjoy that and give it a good review. But I'm going to see Courtney Act at Circus Hub, and then I'm going to see the Weird Sisters, the adaptation of the Terry Pratchett novel in the Discworld series by the same name. So those are probably the next 2 shows I will be reviewing for you guys. Look forward to seeing you in those videos. Thanks for watching. Bye!